Now, Jay-Z came back outside, got on stage, and basically dropped a bomb on a rap game. If you guys haven't heard, Jay-Z was performing at Roots Picnic in Philadelphia, and shortly after he opened his set, he went into a acapella freestyle that immediately had the internet talking. Now, the reason why this moment got so much attention is because Jay-Z obviously doesn't pop out too often these days. He's not an artist who jumps online every week to respond to any rumors. He's not doing no social media rants. He's not dropping diss tracks every time somebody mentions him. Most of the time, Jay-Z moves like somebody who, kind of is above the noise, and I feel like he really is. I feel like Jay-Z's bigger than music. He's definitely transcended hip-hop in general. But this time, he came back outside, and when he did, it sounded like he had a lot to get off his chest.
The rock's not crumbling. The leprechauns magically run out of pranks. Your son on the federal jail line mumbling something. Drink. You know how dumb that is? Another one fumbled his, wonder how I get the blame. Niggas' teeth is tumbling out their mouth, and somehow I'm the one who done it. It's a murder mystery gang.
Talk your shit.
Still on you suckers, I'm mauling you niggas gang. I ain't much for me, it's no how. Cancel the brunches, I remember the hunger pain. The price of the bricks going up. It's gonna cost you a B to even say my name.
Pop your shit, Jay. So this freestyle is basically him talking about a bunch of people, everyone from Drake, Nicki Minaj, Onika, Kanye West, and Dame Dash. Some lines were also connected to Tony Busby, which is that lawyer, and other recent controversies around Jay-Z or people who've been kind of connected to Jay-Z's name, but Jay didn't name anyone directly. That's what it sounds like. That's from what I could hear, right? So he appeared to respond to several people and situations that have been surrounding his name, especially the last year. Whether you want to call it a diss, a warning, a response, or just Jay kind of popping his shit for a second, you can call it whatever. But as you guys could hear, like, he was not on that stage being all humble. I mean, he was really popping his collar. He was talking like somebody who feels like a lot of people forget who they're talking to. One of the most, important lines from this particular freestyle was focused on the part where Jay-Z appeared to respond to Drake, Drizzy. So Drake had a recent line from his album Iceman where he used the phrase, the jig is up. And of course, Jay-Z's nickname is Jigga. And then fans connected that to Jay-Z. And then Jay-Z got on the stage and basically said, the jig is up. I'm up 10. So that was a response to Drake. Then he followed that up with a line about people looking up to Hove, his nickname, and him not looking up to them. So that line is very important because basically Jay's reminding the rap game of the power dynamic there is. He's not saying I'm trying to compete with you. He's saying you come from the era that I helped build, and he's not lying. Jay is an OG. I mean, whether people like Jay-Z or not, that is the uncomfortable truth about, or maybe not so uncomfortable, but uncomfortable to who you're, depending on who you're speaking to. But that's the uncomfortable, quote unquote, uncomfortable truth about his position in hip hop. There may be artists today who are bigger than Jay-Z in terms of streaming. There are artists today who have way more social media attention, so to speak, and they might dominate the charts in a different way. But Jay is from a different era of power. I mean, he's not just a rapper. He's a symbol of ownership, business, longevity, and what it looks like when a rapper stops being just an artist and becomes an institution. So when he talks about contracts, publishing, success, ownership, and people being workers and him being not just a boss, but more than that, that's way more than just a flex. And the thing about Jay is that he comes from a part of hip hop that's always cared about leverage. These days, people are more concerned with visibility than actually owning anything. And that's something Jay has talked a lot about in his music. So I feel like this connects to a way bigger part of the conversation that a lot of people have about the rap game. And that's the thing about Jay-Z in this particular freestyle. I feel like he's not rapping like an older legend trying to prove he can still rap. You can kind of hear he's rapping like a boss, reminding people not to confuse visibility with control. Because Jay has always cared about the business side of rap. And that's why I don't look at this like a quote unquote regular rap beef. I feel like that's missing the bigger message. He's not even saying I'm better than you. He's saying you may be hot, but do you actually own your position? And unlike Jay, a lot of artists just don't. I remember even years ago, was it back in 2017 or 2018? I think 2017, right? He made that money phone reference. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember that. And this was a line. Y'all on a gram holding money to your ear. There's a disconnect. We don't call that money over here. So a lot of hip hop has been built on basically just like flexing who has the most amount of money, who has the biggest house, who has the most, watches. This is an Apple Watch, by the way. Who has the most cars, who is number one on the charts, who's outside more, right? Who's active. But I've always liked how Jay is always talking about ownership, who controls what, and who's profiting long term. Now, the timing of this particular freestyle is also kind of interesting because Jay-Z has already spoken about, I think it was like a few months ago or a few weeks ago, he spoke about the state of rap beef. He did that in this GQ interview. where Jay basically talked about the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, and his comments were not really about picking a side. He was not sitting there saying Drake won or Kendrick won. He was looking at the bigger picture of what the battle did to the culture and what it kind of represented. And what the takeaway here was that he understands the excitement of competition. He understands the sparring. He understands that battling has always been a part of hip hop. But he also made it clear that in this era, there's so much negative energy attached to that part that it starts to feel different. And that's a very interesting thing for Jay-Z to say, because I'm sure a lot of you guys know Jay's not some rapper who never battled. I mean, Jay was in one of the most infamous rap beefs of all time with Nas. This is the guy who made the song Takeover. So he knows what competition is, okay? He knows what disrespect is. He knows what it feels like when competition turns personal. But the point he was making is that rap beef does not exist in the same world anymore as it used to. Back then, a diss track could come out, the culture could debate it, people could pick a winner, and then eventually the culture would move on, right? But now, because of social media, beef doesn't stay in a vacuum. It becomes a full-time war between fan bases. It becomes content for bloggers. It becomes clips for streamers. And it becomes this thing that people embrace more than the actual music. And then now people are digging through every part of somebody's life, trying to destroy their character. And in this interview with GQ, that's kind of, I feel like that's what he was talking about. That's my interpretation, right? But he also talked about how modern fan culture can make people feel like supporting one artist means completely tearing down the other. It's no longer just, I think my favorite rapper won. It becomes my favorite rapper is a perfect human being and the other one is evil. And that's where I think rap beef can get, and beef in general can get kind of weird, because the music is one thing, but competition is also one thing. And two people going at each other is one thing as well. But when the internet turns it into a personality trait, destruction, family attacks, lawsuits, accusations, moral wars, and people trying to erase someone's entire career, I think that's different. And that's something we saw in the Kendrick versus Drake, right, situation. And this is where I think the Drake versus Kendrick situation or beef conversation connects directly to Jay-Z's acapella freestyle here. Because Jay-Z is criticizing how far rap beef has gone, but at the same time, he's still stepping into that arena himself, which is what makes it so interesting, in my opinion. So he's saying that battle culture may not be that healthy anymore, but then he gets on stage and gives people that type of energy, and he responds to all these people who've been kind of talking about him the last few years. So the question is he contradicting himself? Or is he just showing the difference between responding and destroying? Because there is a difference, right? Responding to criticism is not the same as trying to ruin somebody's entire life. Throwing a slick bar here and there is not the same as dragging kids into it, wives, private drama, or every personal weakness into the public. I think overall Jay's just very mature. I mean, he's, 55, 56? And so I wouldn't really call that contradicting. I would just say that he's very open with acknowledging his own history with rap beef versus where his headspace is currently at. Because at the end of the day, he's been a part of the mess as well. And a lot of times a person can participate in something when they are younger and then look back later and say, maybe that was not the best thing for the culture or for my mental. So it doesn't erase the past, but it does show some type of growth. And this is kind of what happened in particularly the Drake versus Kendrick situation. People are treating it like a criminal trial. People were acting like if you liked one song of that particular beef, you had to hate the artist forever. But that's not really hip hop. That is stan culture turning hip hop into team sport with no room for nuance or showing some type of understanding for the other side. Because the other side could a lot of times be producing better material, whether that's music or conversations around what they're creating, but you can still appreciate both sides. And I feel like someone like Jay-Z, because he's such an OG, he's one of the few people who can speak on a lot of this stuff from experience. I mean, the guy is over 50 years old, okay? He's been around. He's seen all this go down. So not only has he become older, he's become richer, obviously. He's way more powerful now, but he does have a lot of wisdom as well. And I know that there's a lot of negative conversations about Jay-Z these days, right? But I still respect his craft. I think he's a great rapper, and it's dope to see how big he's actually became. I mean, keep in mind, this is someone who can move in any type of circle. He can do business with the biggest companies in the world, but don't forget, he started on a corner in Brooklyn, okay? And that's what I think makes it so powerful. This is someone who's been around for such a long time, but when they get on a stage, people are gonna listen, right? At the end of the day, Jay-Z doesn't need to go on a podcast and speak or go on a social media rant. He gets on stage, he raps up a few lines here and there, and then people are talking about it. And I feel like that's legacy, that's power. And I feel like when someone who's been in the game for that long can still do that after literally decades of being in the game, that's some real shit right there. That's heavy. But it's an interesting conversation that Jay-Z brought up in that GQ interview. Can the rap game handle competition without turning every battle into a full-blown character assassination? I think that actually takes a lot of skill. Because if every beef has to destroy families, reputations, friendships, and entire legacies, then maybe Jay-Z is right to question where this is all going. And at the end of the day, it was dope how he was able to get on that stage, spit his lines and he got off that stage, and this is most likely where it's quote unquote gonna end, right? I think that's just maturity, man. Jay's seasoned, he's older. Obviously, he's not with all this bullshit, right? He's seen it, he's done it. And yes, he was one of these guys at one point, but at the same time, he's not that guy now. And so we can let people just grow and become instead of always holding them to a standard from the past. So yeah, it basically feels like Jay-Z was checking the rap game. That's kind of how I looked at that acapella freestyle that he did. But I'm curious what you guys think. If you're new here, my name is BlackySpeakz. Nice to meet you. And yeah, you guys let me know in the comment section below, and I catch you guys in the next video. Peace, I'm out.